interviews.
Thank you, gentlemen. Here with Pobelter and Aphromoo. After a very solid, methodical victory there, we saw a fairly low kill until the later stages of the game. And that's what I kind of want to throw to you, Aphromoo. It was brought up pretty quickly into the game that it seemed like you guys were reverting back to what was working for you during the regular season of last split in terms of play style.
I think we discovered ourselves a little bit better with our new members coming in as well in Pobelter. So it's really nice to have a lot of damage that we can, count on to be there in a late game Kog'Maw pick that we had. So it was nice, but I thought Dignitas also played really well, and they countered what our 2v1 strategy was to make it even. But in scrims, it wasn't going that way. We were really far ahead, of course. That's how it happened last split as well. But yeah, Dignitas actually played really well. It's just their, execution, planning, and team fight afterwards was really poor.
All right, well, now to that end, the additions that you guys have made to this split, we've got Pobelter as well as Huhi coming in. Pobelter, for you yourself, how do you feel the transition has been from WinterFox to CLG so far?
It's been, really great. I knew it would be probably an upgrade because obviously CLG placed higher than WinterFox. WinterFox got relegated, so I knew it would be a little better. But I feel like I fully trust all my teammates, and I don't know. I just think they're all really good, and so it's really nice to play on a team like this. And
so how exactly is scrimming going to work once we have Huhi here? Because I think there's going to be some, a lot of people are curious as to how the dual mid laner thing is going to work. So when we've got both mid laners here and present for all weeks, dividing time between the team and actually being able to level up the team synergy with both mid laners has got to be difficult.
Yeah, honestly, that's up to our coaching staff. It's to their discretion. I'm not privy to how exactly it will be handled, but I trust that they'll do a good job.
At the moment, do you feel that there's a glaring difference between the two of you as mid laners, a strength that you bring and a strength that he brings that's going to allow you guys the capabilities to put more strategies into practice?
Huhi's actually still in Korea working out his visa with management, so he hasn't been able to. I haven't seen him come over and scrim with the team yet, so I'm not exactly sure so far. But I'd say generally, I'm more of a risky player, and I'll put myself in a riskier position and use my own summoners to deal more damage, but he just likes to play more methodically. So I think that's the difference.
Well, and so then on the other side of things, we had some support staff changes. We have Zixlal moving up into kind of the head. How did Kobe named it the analyst with power, essentially. And then we have Blurred Limes coming in. How has the shuffling around of management been for you guys so far?
It's more defined in what our coaching staff's roles are. So we have Chris, who's our new coach, who handles more lifestyle stuff as well as, the egos that we have on the team and attitudes, and he really just breaks it down and kicks our asses essentially when we screw up. He also makes us have a lot of physical activity. So
good.
In the morning we'll do a lot of stretching, we'll run, we'll go play basketball 3v3 or something like that. So it's pretty cool. And then we have Tony, Sir Tony Coach Gray, that's what we call him.
Sir Tony Coach Gray.
Yeah.
I like it.
Who is more the strategical mind and sets up our picks and bans, talks with us how to play the game, what champions we should be playing, so he does the more, that kind of stuff.
Right, so this time around, the composition that we saw you guys build, we had the Kog'Maw for that late game poke and just high amounts of damage, as well as we saw the Lee Sin come back in and the Alistair with the Maokai. So a very solid front line with, Smithy building full tank on that Lee Sin. Is this kind of what the new mid lane situation is allowing you to do, put a lot of pressure on the two carries and a massive support system between the other three players?
Honestly, it's just how the meta is right now. We're playing the tank meta, so really it's just when most of the bans are towards all the tanks that are OP, you have Gragas, Rek'Sai, who's really tanky, sometimes Sejuani's banned, so really it just goes down in the tier list. Who's the next most tanky champion that you should pick? And then you have a solid backline with long range that you can kill people with, and that's usually how the meta goes right now.
All right, well, we've seen Ashe come to fruition. I, for one, am very excited about that champion coming back into the meta. Finally, I do want to get your guys' thoughts on the other top-tier teams, coming into this split. We saw C9 and TSM play it out earlier in a very exciting match. Pobelter, thoughts on those two teams, the way that the C9 roster is incorporating Incarnation and TSM coming out of MSI after that game?
I think that game in particular, it was kind of weird actually, because TSM, it feels like they should have won that game because Bjergsen was up like 100 CS in mid lane, but ultimately C9 just had the better team comp. They had Rumble Kog'Maw, I think, versus, what was it, 2 immobile carries. And once it gets late enough in the game, then they can just pretty much kill your backline without TSM's backline being able to deal any damage. So I think that game was won more so on picks. I mean, TSM and C9 obviously still going to be 2 of the best teams in NA.
Right. So into that end, right, we've seen where 2 of the best teams, are as of right now. We've had a good litmus test for, where 1 and 2 are at the beginning of this season. We've now watched you play. You guys have had your first try on the LCS stage with this roster. Aphromoo, how do you feel the outlook of your season is? I'm asking you to project 9 weeks into the future here when we're approaching playoffs, but do you feel that this CLG roster, with the new coaching staff and the ability to swap out mid laners, will find their spot back up in the, in that top echelon of teams?
I'd like to quote Darshan on this, where he says we're going to be a top 3 team by the end of the split. So that's what I believe as well.
All right. Well, glad to hear it. Once again, gentlemen, congratulations on the victory, starting the split off right, 1-0. Team 8 and Team Impulse are loading onto the stage, and we'll face off in our 4th match of the day, so don't go anywhere. The North American LCS continues after this.